Hey everyone, my name is Will Curran from Endless Events. And yeah, here to answer a few questions for you all. So the first question that you asked me is, as a founder, entrepreneur, event planner, and leadership trainer, you've had quite an amazing journey to reach where you are today. Can you walk us through that? Long story for sure. Started in 2007 when I was in high school. I'm now 32 years old, 15 years of running Endless. And basically, I started off being like really into electronic music. Started as a DJ, started DJing in my bedroom, then started DJing backyard parties. And then once I graduated high school, started DJing lots of college events. Then I kind of like saw this company over in Chicago doing these massive productions with DJs with lasers and drummers playing alongside DJs, 3,000 people in a gym. I was like, I want to do that by the time I graduate college. A couple months later, convinced the school to do it. And that's when we did our first big production. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And we started basically doing all these massive high school and college events all across Arizona. From there, doing the big productions, I realized that's where all the value was for us. We were taking big, complex productions and making them really simple for non-event people to understand. So we basically decided that production was actually the thing that we were the best at. So we said, why don't we start a production company? So we made the pivot over from DJing and doing DJing with big productions to a production company only. Eventually started doing lots of big corporate events, and clients really appreciated our no BS way of doing events. And started doing lots of big corporate events and started doing more event technology and everything like that. Along the way, we started writing a lot of content, blog posts, doing tons of stuff on social media. We started 3 different podcasts, lots of content, as most people know us for. And we essentially through that, more and more people started asking us for things beyond production. They started saying, hey, help us find our venue, help us develop our strategy, help us create audience engagement. And basically at that point, we started doing more and more than just being a production and technology company. We started becoming an event management company. So over the last couple of years, we've been slowly making the transition to an event management company to where we are today. And yeah, like 15 years of doing events, only Endless Events, done everything from web design to, obviously managing events to production. I have a very big, wide background, and I love it for sure. So yeah, happy. That's kind of the long story short, but I think if you Google Will Curran's journey or Will Curran's story or, things like that, there's probably like an hour long podcast where I tell you in detail all the times I messed up and made big mistakes, which is the fun part. Next question on here is, you cover a wide range of topics involving the entire event spectrum in blogs. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I didn't read these ahead of time. These are all off the cuff. How do you manage your content marketing? Well, first of all, I don't do it. My team is amazing. When I first started, it was, my big thing when I created a lot of content is I just go out there and just try to create new ideas and share new things. That's why I like podcasting. That's why I like being interviewed. It allows me to explore new ideas and share new information. But when it comes to managing and content marketing, having a great team is the first start of it. I think the second thing is just, creating ways that it becomes a habit and a reoccurring, thing that you do. In this case, like we have 3 podcasts and they get released, I think every other week now. So if we don't record every week, we will fall behind and we won't have any podcasts. So it forces us to get up, show up, and think about what the topic's going to be and create that content. And then we just try to repurpose a lot of it. We do the podcast becomes a blog post that becomes a short clip that we post on social media, and et cetera, et cetera. Like that's a big part of our strategy. And a lot of it has to do with just like trying to make sure it's great. I also really try to be controversial now because I luckily have a great position within the events industry that now I can say controversial stuff and people don't think I'm a crazy person. They're like, yeah, it sounds like what I care about too. So yeah, that's basically, I think, it in a sense, but happy to dive deeper into it if you guys want to know more about all the systems and processes we have, because I'm very system driven, technology driven. But yeah, very focused on that. Next question. What are some of the issues event planners face with hybrid events? Oh my gosh, like what problems do they not face is probably a better question. Big problems they have. First one they jump into is budget. A lot of people aren't sure how much a hybrid event should cost. It does cost more money. Some of them don't have that budget to be able to do it. So all those challenges of not knowing what the cost is, but also it being more expensive. I also think a lot of planners right now are spending money in the wrong areas. They're spending money on stuff that was like 2019 important, like catering, rather than 2022 importance, like speakers and, engagement tools and things like that out there. Engagement tools is probably not the right way because technology doesn't solve engagement, but, creating better platforms, branding, that sort of stuff. But a lot of people could do better in a lot of different ways. So budget, biggest concern. Second biggest concern that they have with it is that virtual was not engaging. So how do I actually engage the virtual side? To be honest, that answer is not new. It's the same thing on virtual that you need to be doing. Better content. It needs to be more well produced. It needs to be like a TV show, all that sort of stuff. And I think that's really a big problem that people are facing, is that when they do go hybrid, that people aren't raving the same way that people are when they come in person. However, I think right now we're at a peak stage where people are really enjoying in-person experiences because they've been deprived of them for 2 years. And then other issues that people are facing with hybrid events, I think just the events industry in general right now is audience engagement, whether it's hybrid or not. But how do you actually engage your audience? How do you get them excited? How do you get them to motivate them to do a different behavior, whatever it may be? And that's been a problem, honestly, for the last 200 years for events, probably, is audience engagement. So it's not going away. So feel free to link to my many 4,000 blog posts we run on audience engagement. So yeah, those are probably the big main issues that I see when it comes to events right now. Especially hybrid events. For event planners, what are the tools essential for running successful events? First thing I think that you need, like your bread and butter that you need to have is your project management software. This isn't Google spreadsheets. In fact, I just did a whole podcast where I ranted about how there's no good event management software to actually manage events, not necessarily like a platform or a app or anything like that, like a tool to actually manage your events. None of that stuff exists. It's always like half baked. It's not really that strong. Like a lot of it's really, really hard on there. But I talk about that just in that podcast alone. But when it comes to what you can do is have a good project management software. This is something like Asana, Basecamp. It allows you to delegate tasks because you can't do everything. It allows you to host written conversations. It allows you to build plans and task lists that you can copy from year to year. And I think that becomes really, really important. So that's one of the most important tools that you have. I think the second tool that you use that's really, really good is something like Slack. I think that trying to have so many meetings is going to be what kills you in a lot of ways. Unless you have a really concise plan for how you're going to reduce the amount of meetings. For example, you put the whole event team plus all your vendors on one single call and you all sync up once a week. You're going to find that you're spending most of your time just talking and trying to share this information. I think having a Slack channel allows it so you can have a meeting, post notes, share it with everybody, keep everybody in the loop. It allows vendors to ask quick questions back and forth, allows vendors to ask each other questions. It allows collaboration on there. So I think some sort of chat software is really important. Get out of email, get out of phone calls, reduce the amount of meetings that you have. And then if I pick another tool that is essential for running successful events, is space and time to go find experience other events and other experiences in life. I think that if you plan to only plan events and not attend them, you're always going to be stuck thinking the exact same way when it comes to it. And then if I had to pick one last tool that's essential for successful events, I think having a C-level sponsor who is 100% on board with what you're doing and understands not only the value of events, everybody loves the value of events, but instead really is willing to invest into the value of events is important, because I think a lot of times planners are so far removed, even if you're a director of marketing or you're, the internal event planner at a company, you're so far removed from the budget and the larger goals and the larger ROI that your event's going to accomplish, that then, a lot of times you're the first budget to get cut. And you're also the one that is very hard to get increased. And right now, as we talked about, budget's a big problem right now. You need to be able to have that tool at your disposal. What are some tips for implementing video marketing effectively? Oh my gosh. First thing I think when it comes to it is quality is very, very important. I think right now I'm shooting on a mirrorless camera into a teleprompter. So I'm making eye contact while I'm looking at your notes so I don't break eye contact with you. Production value goes very far when it comes to events video. I think the other thing when it comes to implementing video marketing, it needs to tie back to your marketing system that you're using. In this case, if you're using Vidyard, it ties back to HubSpot. So then that way you can alert sales reps to when people are looking at videos, how long they've looked at videos, giving more that data towards video, not just caring about how many views it got, even, the standard heat map that shows you how much people have watched or where people are dipping off. That's 20, 10 level video analytics. Like, get the detailed knowing who's looking at your videos. So important. And then I think the last thing of it too is that, make sure you're repurposing it in a lot of ways. Even like we were organizing and we're building a new organization system to tie all of our marketing stuff to each other. We found that like there's so many video content we made that didn't get turned into a blog post, or that like didn't get repurposed into shorter clips. And it's for how much energy and time it takes to make all this video content. It's really, really hard when you just make one video, post it to YouTube, and that's where all it lives. It really sucks when you do a great video production at a conference to capture all the angles of the speaker, and it turns out it just gets uploaded, or sometimes it doesn't get uploaded ever at all. Like, let it become multiple pieces of content. Let it become a blog. Let it become an ebook. Don't reinvent the wheel when it comes to it, especially because most people can't make a ton of content. And I know this as someone who makes a ton of content. Even stuff like ours doesn't get fully utilized, but you need to be able to take one asset and turn it into 100. What do you see as the biggest game-changing event tech in the next few years? Well, if I knew that, I would just like invest in that company and make millions of dollars. No, I think one of the biggest things when it comes to event tech in the future is, let's go with easy answers first. Accessibility and diversity and inclusion. For example, there's so many tools out there making events more and more accessible. Let's look at virtual events in general. How many people could actually attend events now that could never have attended events, or feared to attend events, or whatever it may be, or couldn't afford to attend events? Oh my gosh, that was game changing. That's true fundamental game changing stuff when it comes to events. However, now that we're coming out of the virtual events towards hybrid, I think the ability to collect data and sync it to tools to make real-time decisions and to be able to alert sales and marketing faster is going to be the next big thing. That means like RFID technology that tracks every single session that someone goes to, who they network with, and informing that information back to sales and marketing to then act upon. Boom, fire. Game changing. And that's also the kind of information that's going to allow you as a planner to go from being the linens and catering person to being the data driven ROI person that the CEO, the CMO looks to and makes a critical part of their budget. So there you go. And then what is one piece of advice that I would give to event planners? This is my favorite question to ask. It's my ending question I ask on event. So I've asked like over 200 people in the episodes I've all interviewed, and we've had over like 350 total episodes. I stopped hosting it for a little while. But my one piece of advice I'd give to event planners, like I say this so much. Now I'm going to emphasize it even more. It's like, seriously, ditch your 2019, your 2020, your 2021, and even ditch your 2022 playbook. Stop doing the same things over and over again. And you need to take your hand out of the coconut. This is a story I'm using all year long. When back in the day, when they had monkeys running around stealing from out of people's houses and everything like that, they needed to be able to capture these monkeys. So how did the hunters capture the monkeys? They would put a coconut on the ground, they would put a chain to it, and what they do is they drill a hole into it and put a bunch of fruit in it. The monkey would then see the coconut, reach its hand inside to get the fruit, and try to grab the fruit, making a clenched fist, and wouldn't be able to pull it out because the hole was too small to get his fist out. The problem was that the monkey was never able to release the fruit because it wanted to hold on to it. It wouldn't let go. And what did it happen? It got caught and was killed. So don't be the person who is going to have yourself killed by holding on to the fruit. Let go of the fruit and be willing to let go of coconut, because there might be something way better out there. There might be something better use of your budget. There might be a better use of your time. There might be something better out there. Let go of it and be willing to release that you're in a new era. There's new things going on, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I hope this has been super helpful for everybody and educational. Sorry for the graphicness with the monkeys at the end, but I hope it illustrates a point that we all need to be thinking differently. If you ever need anything, feel free to give me a shout out. But I hope you all have an amazing day. And this is the only part I'll break eye contact is to hit stop record. Have a great day, everybody.